Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, now with twice as many professionals as we go into the grand finals of the first team game tournament of the year. Uthermal's 2v2 circuit featuring the world champion in the red as Protoss for this game. It's Team Liquid's Clem. Alongside him, the North American Protoss, we have Trigger. And it wouldn't be a Clem in the finals without a MaxPax on the other side. Joined, last but not least, our only Terran for this game, it's Spirit. In a best of 5, 2 versus 2 grand finals. And I'm very excited. We need a little more variety in StarCraft 2, something a little different. Which is why we have Clem versus MaxPax, but they're allowed to phone a friend. And hopefully that friend will smash the like button and maybe even subscribe to Uthermal's channel. And then maybe here, if you're feeling it as well. But Jimmy, what are we? 1,509 likes. And I'll cast another series. And maybe 2v2. And I'll probably do it anyways. We got a lot of replays from this tournament. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Clem apparently bouncing around between Terran and Protoss throughout the entire tournament. So I wouldn't be surprised if he switches to Terran next game and then Protoss back after that. The mechanics of 2v2, you can share control with your teammate. You can share resources. But only after about the 4-minute mark can you transfer those resources. So you can't just feed them enough to get 2 Nexi right off the bat before your opponents can have any units out. But you can get kind of close when it comes to mid-game tech opportunities. And this is one of the maps where the bases are split. And even though you can see them from across the street there, that is a long walk across if there are siege tanks or anything else at the bottom of the ramp. Sentries. Any map where the bases are split is incredibly vulnerable to early aggression, even if it doesn't seem like too far of a distance. So I am interested to see what these players have in store. Obviously, they got to the finals. Then again, I think both Clem and MaxPax could blink stalker their way to the finals of, well, insert tournament here. So, a double gate to start for both Trigger and for Clem. Clem going for Stalkers, Trigger for Adepts. Meanwhile, a bunker in the center of everything for Spirit, as well as a Stargate for MaxPax. So, the Protoss to the south. And unfortunately, in 2 versus 2, much like with Blizzard in general, the observer interface treats it as an oversight. We can't switch the sides on it. So, it annoys me a little bit too, but you get used to it. Probe gets in. There is no tech to scout, I guess, besides a Nexus on the way. Couple Stalkers over to the left side, Shades up the center. Splitting the difference with the bunker, but both Clem and Trigger could technically just go around it, as that bunker is more of a angry statement as opposed to something that can defend the mineral line. I'm actually not sure. He's trying to help MaxPax out with it, but really he's not accomplishing too much. MaxPax left to fend for himself, and Spirit just pulls off the mineral line. Shield battery to block the Adepts from shading into the main, a classic PvP tactic. And another Adept is walking up. The shield battery blocks it out. The Stalkers are still getting damage done. Clem microing. There is a Twilight on the way, but we're starting things off early. Energy recharge on the shield battery. Oracle just flies right by everything. It doesn't want a single bit of this business. That's far too many Stalkers. Is there a proxy? No, there's just a probe hanging out. Suspiciously, but all probes are suspicious. First siege tank gets a single shot off, but then the combined forces of Stalkers are able to take it out, and so far, Trigger and Clem keeping the pressure on. MaxPax and Spirit. The Oracle is coming across. There's 2 Stalkers back at home. The Oracle already stripped away from its shields. A Void Ray comes out. And MaxPax, with that Void Ray, may have enough to just outright hold the line. Stalker's getting chased down. And I think that Adept is going to be able to finish off the final one here. Wait. Adepts don't do very much damage, do they? MaxPax chasing down Trigger. Nope, get out of the way! Stop it! They really need to share control for these moments, although the Stalkers are stepping on each other's toes. You ever notice how weird Stalkers work? Look what stop right! Well, okay. That is not how I expected this to end. Oracle gets out, 0 kills, so far, minimal losses from both sides, but MaxPax did get cut down on the probe count pretty dramatically, especially considering he expanded so early. But the continued aggression, Guardian Shield, Void Ray driven back, Siege Tank joining the fray. Has to be careful not to stray too far forward. Blink is about to complete for both of the Southern Protoss. MaxPax is also going for Blink, but obviously delayed by investing in a Stargate early. Unclear whether it paid off. So far, the aggression coming hot and heavy. Not the least bit surprised. Clem using the build inspired by the player in the blue, as we've seen him do both in 1v1 and now 2v2 as Protoss pretty exclusively. Spirit is building up. He's got Stim on the way. Just now getting his starport. Does he have a third command center? No. MaxPax is working on his third nexus. The siege tanks are very helpful, but if the blink... Oh, Clem does not notice the stasis and having those stalkers caught out. A single force field spitefully slapped down. Those stalkers, he's going to be able to blink away. But now this is very interesting because they can potentially cover any angle the stalkers come in. They're trying to cover for the blink away. Where does he go? He still gets out with most of them. Even tries to take a couple stalkers on the way. The Void Ray knocks out another. 4 stalkers just scamper into the main base from Trigger. Might be able to snipe a siege tank of all things. He gets it, blinks to the corner, recalls out. 1 stalker goes down, but he mostly gets away with murder. What a play. Just walking in the front door and killing the tank as it popped out of the factory. There are no rules against spawn camping. And that's why there's no Zerg. Tough spot in team games for Zerg overall, to be honest. Void Ray finally taken out, but both sides, all 3 players have Blink Stalkers now. So keep your eyes wide open, otherwise you might miss it. Dark Shrine on the way for MaxPax. Robo Bay for Trigger. Second Robo for Clem. He doesn't have a Robo Bay. Is he going to go Mass Immortal? It looks like it. Charge for both Trigger and Clem. Keeping track of all these Protoss that are getting the same upgrades is getting a bit difficult, but the warm versus cool. Wait. Force field, but just blinks right over them. Any upgrades? No upgrades for anyone at the moment. Basic upgrades, that is. More optimistic force fields. A scan. There's still an Oracle in the corner. Spirit can scan for MaxPax in order to either get vision for Blink Stalkers or just know whether it's safe to move. But Trigger and Clem now fully established on 3 bases, 60 workers apiece. Spirit a little bit further down. MaxPax's Stalkers looking to engage. He actually got +1 before either of the Southern toss. Whoa, the Stalkers blink forward, trading shots at the Medivacs, but MaxPax comes down. And now the Marines and Marauders are stimming for. Combined 200 supply across the board. About 100 apiece. Spirit actually #1 right now, with 111 supply as he drops his 3rd command center. Robotics Bay for Clem. Trigger already going for extended thermal lance. War Prism. Charge launch on the way. Clem gonna look to distract. Meanwhile, the combined Protoss. There's an observer spotting for all this. It's a bit of an optimistic fight. Blinks over to the side, trying to target some more tanks. Charge lots filter in front, successfully distracting from the drop in the main. But I don't know if those losses were worth it just to get a few charge lots in. They were clearly trying to distract, but end up eating a lot at the front. And not really getting much done with the charge lots either. Did the Prism die? Indeed it did. So with no Warp Prism, the Protoss are limited to likely just a direct attack. There's a rich Vespene base down the center. Observer for Clem is spotted. It gets pinged here. I'm not sure if he strayed into another observer, but it appears it was spotted. The siege tank count is growing. Ghosts, dangerous to everyone else in the game. EMP, very effective, and there's plenty of Protoss to hit. Clem going for the double Ds of destruction. Wait, no, that's Trigger. No, Clem also... Well, Clem is going DT Blink. Trigger is getting a Dark Shrine. MaxPax already has one. A combined DT and Charge Lot drop. Colossi can actually go up to the high ground and start incinerating probes. Stalker's moving into position to defend. Spirit comes in with a small drop. Recalls immediately. Trigger going to slap this down if possible. The Stalker's a little out of position to do so. DT's slipping by. MaxPax gets into the main and is undercutting Clem's production. There are a few observers. Blinks in to deal with it. Depowers the Forge, the Twilight, and a gate. And Spirit and MaxPax are sitting pretty strong back at home and ready to move forward. The DTs are buying a lot of space here. And with the Terran army... Oh no! The Prism gets sniped off in the center. And now there's really nothing keeping the Team Spirit down. MaxPax moving forward. Disruptor shots dangerous to all Protoss. Still one-shots pretty much every Protoss unit that isn't a Colossus, Immortal, or Archon. Spirit coming through the rocks. Team Clem is down significantly in supply. And with siege tanks and ghosts, it's going to make it even harder to engage. Colossi, 3 sets of them, but 4 siege tanks on the high ground. The Terran army is ripping through the Nexus. MaxPax is denying any opportunity to flank this. And he gets into the main base with the Prism. He's going to depower some of the production. And right now, Team Clem doesn't really have a chance to deal with this. A big run by out of Trigger. They're trying to hold on to what economy they can, but that Warp Prism is still alive. Charge Lot's struggling to get much damage done. The siege tanks complementing the Colossi and the Stalker so well. The Bio Ball out in front. Trigger trying to come in. Clem eating the brunt of the damage to start. Spirit at 200 supply and not really dipping. Another Disruptor is taken out before it can even get the damage done. MaxPax continually warping in Dark Templar. And it's just not enough. The Disruptor shot comes out, chunks up some Stalkers, but the Bio Army continues to move forward. The siege tanks continue to shell. The Nexus, eternally vulnerable. And I think they've done it. MaxPax and Spirit just grinding through the much more brittle Protoss army. And the Colossi will tumble. The Disruptors, a poor match. Some charge lots underneath. Wait, did they run out of detection? There's like 3 different sets of observers here. But Spirit still has 150 supply. Combined 300. I think game 1 will be going to Team MaxPax and Spirit. The combined Protoss Terran armies overwhelming the mobility of the mass Blinkstalker charge lot. And now, the most interesting question will be if Clem switches to Terran. Or if he stays as Protoss. I can see Protoss on a map where the bases are combined. Or are split. So you can use Prisms and Blinkstalkers better. Especially against Terran. But, well, that answers my question. Going into game number 2 on Undercurrent. Introducing our Terran in the red. It's Team Liquid's Clem. He switches to Terran. Looked at Spirit's army and said, well, that seemed like a pretty good idea. Honestly, MaxPax getting more done with his Warp Prism and his DT run-bys than both Trigger and Clem combined. Part of that, just the position in the game, but MaxPax finding those perfect timings to undercut both the attention and the economy of both players. I think that was very well executed. Spirit had to roll with the punches, just kind of building up an army while the Protoss duking it out on the field. And very simply, 200 supply of Terran and 200 supply of Protoss combined. There's few armies that don't involve carriers, I think, that can actually compete with that. No. With how aggressive all these players are. Now, your normal team game experience might be dropping to 12 FPS while everyone in the game tries to go carriers or battlecruisers. But believe it or not, using the combined control... This is one of my favorite things. So Trigger built the assimilator for Clem. And then he shares control, which allows Clem to mine from. It's one of those quirks of team games that I think there are probably more things like that going on that we're just not catching. And things like trading resources, which are not obvious from the observer perspective, unfortunately. But when you think about it, Protoss can just slap down the assimilator. They don't have to sit there and build it. And of course, Clem didn't have to spend the resources. So I think Clem having a quicker expansion while still having his tech is the trade-off they're making. And even though Trigger will be slowed down slightly, I don't know the math on it, but it certainly feels like this is a smart way to play it. That means Clem, without ever building a refinery, can still get a Reaper out. And then a factory behind, of course. The Reapers will duel. Clem sidesteps the grenade. Spirit actually hit his own grenade, and Clem asserts dominance in the Reaper war. He literally watched Spirit shoot himself and then took full advantage of it. The Adept is, oh my god. He's actually just microing against the Adept. So very technically, Reapers have more range. Practically, usually doesn't work that way, but the Reaper, oh, he missed a grenade. I think he tried to turn and throw a grenade at exactly the right time, but Spirit gets his vengeance. Then here comes a Stalker out of Trigger. Grenade bounces it back and saves the Adept out of MaxPax, which then shades up to the ramp, so I don't know how long it's going to be saved for. Trigger is on the chase, but here comes Spirit's Hellion and the Reaper as well. They're trying to do some combined damage. Takes out the Adept. And now Clem has a Marine. There's another. Oh, the grenade. I don't. Wow. Wow, that was a. Huh. I guess we are underwater. The map Undercurrent. I know. Crazy. Is that triple star? MaxPax with triple Stargate. Wait, he's building four Stargates. Spirit has to be feeding him gas. There's no way you could afford 4-star, even on, I guess if you're literally building nothing else. But there's no way Spirit, yeah, Spirit is not building anything. He has to be feeding him gas. You see, I'm looking real close at, yeah, Spirit just dropped 100 gas and he's not building anything. He's feeding MaxPax's Vespene gas so we could go mass Phoenix. These are the sort of strategies that I think the highest level of 2v2, we've never had the motivation to explore them. But here we are. And the SCVs, the Guardian Shield, the whole team effort to save the Cyclone, saving Private Cyclone. Will it appreciate it? Who knows? But Hallucinated Phoenix is like, I wonder what it's like to be a real Phoenix. He's gonna get an opportunity to see him in action. The Phoenix count, he's already got 9 of them. That is obscene. It's pre-5 minutes. Like, oh my. Look at the size of that thing. They didn't tell me your mother was coming. MaxPax heading in towards the main. And is there a response? Oh, Blink is done. But the Stalkers, they pick off 2 Phoenixes. He's gonna knock down so many probes. The saving grace of this, I think Team Clem knows that they're feeding resources. Which means if they can survive, Spirit is going to have almost nothing. Spirit has 1 siege tank and 4 Marines. He's just sending his entire income over to MaxPax. At least until now. Building some more siege tanks. A second factory as well. The Phoenixes come in. They're actually going to pick up and knock down some Stalkers. The main base is going to be gutted. The flyby. Cyclone's trying to get something done. We'll just recall out. Ends up 1 more Phoenix. Only 2 have been taken down. 20 probes slaughtered. Sliced out of the sky as the Phoenixes pick them up and knock them down. And a fleet beacon is on the way as MaxPax goes with a sky toss. But Team Clem and Team Trigger may have an opportunity to get the damage done. Right now, Spirit, does he even have stim? No. He has a handful of Marines, 3 siege tanks, and if the Phoenixes are out of position, there's almost nothing at home to defend. You know, this is the old adage of when your opponents are doing something weird, just go fucking kill them. Here come those stalkers! And the Phoenixes are no match for all of this at once. Spirit doesn't have any other units. He has no defense. And I don't know if you can lift up 30 Marines and 20 Stalkers in a timely fashion. He has 20 Phoenixes. But I don't know if they can rise from the ashes of this. That siege tank on the high ground. Clem is still mining, including off a gold base. 3 bases. He's gonna go for it. Another tank pops out. Phoenix is doing what they can, but the Marines are grinding, throwing the Blink Stalkers on top of it. SCVs are pulled. And GG! The all-out attack will turn it around. Spirit takes a little longer to agree to it, but eventually ends up going down. Well, that was certainly a turnaround there. MaxPax and Spirit utilizing one of the oldest and most effective team game strategies, but Clem and Trigger finding their timing. If that didn't succeed, MaxPax was going to be building like 4 carriers at a time. So clearly trying to avoid that exact scenario. But we're all tied up. And that means Clem is going to maintain his Terran. In the red, we have our Terran player. It's Clem. Alongside Trigger. And then MaxPax and Spirit. Very solid effort. I think maybe a little bit too much into the feeding. It left Spirit with so little that dealing with the combined attack. Clem and Trigger fully understanding the best defense against Phoenixes is a good offense. You can't go too early because you'll get picked apart, but if you wait too long, the Phoenixes will pay off. The timing picked out near perfectly. This time around, it is a split base, not too far apart, and quite a long rush distance here on Rohana. But we'll see if the Stargate build is a strong one. Almost always. 2 Stargate Phoenix, not usually 3 or 4, but 2 Stargate Phoenix is a staple of high-level 2v2. With the other player in the game, whatever race they are, as a buffer. They're there to throw units in front of it as much as possible in order to get to the Sky Toss composition. And that's the downside of doing the feeding strat, is you're throwing all your resources into your teammates' Stargates as opposed to basic defense. Probe scouts on either side. Everyone expanding. I take it back. Everyone but Spirit expanding. Though he only has 3 total in gas, which means he does want to go down and take an expo. Just get in the factory in a timely manner. Clem is building a bunker at the combined choke point down the center. A Marine watching for Reapers on this very obvious and explicit Reaper jump location. Did he cancel a second gas? Huh. I'm wondering what he saw that inspired that. Stalker getting some face time with the Adept Reaper. And can just pop into the bunker. Almost didn't realize it was there. Oh my, just tempting fate. A Clem in a nutshell. Put the Stalker in the bunker! It won't fit. Trigger and MaxPax with Twilights on the way. The Terrans both expanding, but that's a third expansion out of Clem. The Stalkers, well, Spirit just runs by and then decides better of it. Something's in the Adept got in. It actually no. The Reaper eventually turns around and takes it out. I think he let it in just to make sure it died. MaxPax with a proxy pylon. That could very well translate into a blink timing. And you don't even necessarily need an observer in order to get high ground vision. Not a hallucination either. You could just ask your teammate to scan. Or there's any array of Terran units that can give you high ground vision as well. I don't think there's a Reaper jump over here, but overall. Clearly, it's going to be a lot of blink aggression. MaxPax doing almost, well, something similar to last game in a very all-out tech build, but the tech this time is just blink stalkers. The Reapers headed into the main. Spirit. Oh. Unfortunately, the Marines are already there waiting for him. Clem has a total of 2 gas gathers. MaxPax starting to work on the rocks over here. Stressing them out. The Cyclone might be able to lock on. Blink is done, though. MaxPax knows there are more stalkers behind. He blinks forward, and Spirit combines in. Wait a second. Already a lot of damage. There's only 1 Marine in that bunker. It's a long way from the mineral line, so repair is unlikely. Even more stalkers are going to be warped in. 7 gates of stalkers and a dark shrine is on the way. That is, wow, he has 12 stalkers right now. There's only 12 Marines for Clem. Just breaks down the bunker. The SCVs, even the mules are pulled. An Immortal is on the field. Is there anything from Spirit to complement this? Is Spirit just feeding him money again? It kind of looks like it. He's barely building anything at all. We're just throwing everything at MaxPax and saying, go get him. Well, so far, the getting has been going pretty well, but so far they have remained ungot. Immortal on the way. There's charge for MaxPax. The Dark Shrine is completed. Their engineering bay just finished. Do they have any observers? There's absolutely no detection. I think MaxPax will wait until an obvious or not so obvious moment when they're under so much pressure from Blink Stalkers. They can bring in the DTs, but down goes 1 Immortal. A second one going to be targeted as well. Unstimmed, uncombat shielded Marines. Helpful for now. Blink Stalkers coming in from Trigger, but MaxPax is holding his own. Spirit is incrementing out siege tanks now. But again, almost all of the money is going into MaxPax's army, but MaxPax now has 60 workers, which is more than anyone else in the match. He's got 3 bases up and running. Spirit is finally starting to build up his infrastructure. No longer has to support his aggressive Protoss teammate, who's now on his own footing economically. And are those the DTs? Yes, MaxPax drawing the army out of position. The perfect bait and switch as MaxPax forces the Marines and Stalkers to chase him. He doesn't quite catch everything with a recall. 3 Stalkers. They'll expect some of us in the wreckage, brothers. But the DTs will get in. An observer is on the way. The main base does have a missile turret in it, but the damage will be done. Clem already losing probes. It drags the army back. The main base cutting through, eviscerating the Marines. MaxPax, oh my, the DT in the main. The main base isn't mining. He will take it out, but again, MaxPax with the perfect timing on the Dark Templar. Thing is, though, Clem is at 100 supply, Trigger at 80. And Clem still has 60 workers. Right now, MaxPax doesn't even have +1. Spirit has only recently started building actual army units. So Clem is getting to a dangerous position. Did he lose the tech lab? No, he just didn't research combat shield, which is quite a big mistake, actually. That is a very significant amount of resource. A small Marine drop. Still finds a lot of success. Slurps it up. I think he killed a couple Stalkers. Spirit comes back to defend. More Stalkers chasing Dark Templar off to the side. MaxPax moves the Prism out of the way. Cleans up some of the charge lots. Another warp in to deal with this. Trying to save the Archon. MaxPax shoving the Archon into the fray. We'll target it down. Trigger. The Blink Stalkers, though, are going to have... It's a bit optimistic on that recall, but gets out with 2 Stalkers. More of a matter of principle. Counterattacky on the other side. Going to take down the Nexus with relative ease. Spirit trying to move in with some units to defend, but Clem's army is looking very dangerous right now, and he finally remembered combat shield. Targeting Spirit siege tanks, and then it's just Marines. They don't even have +1 done. Trigger doesn't either. He's got it 3/4 of the way there. MaxPax has finished his +1 weapons upgrade. Clem loads up 2 drops. MaxPax has a War Prism in the center of the map. A hectic game. But it feels like Clem's momentum has gotten a little out of control. He's got 69 SCVs and a very nice army supply. And that might be too big to fail. As now 9 minutes in. Wow, it's only been 9 minutes? It feels like twice that. Maybe that's because of the 4 players. But the Stalker's getting shoved along by the tanks. You're part of this attack whether you like it or not. I'm going. Double medevac from Spirit. But I have no idea how they're gonna hold this. The army supply from Clem might be enough, but there's Stalkers and Immortals behind it as well. An observer for detection, of course, scans. The main base is being gutted by MaxPax. Trigger has lost a bunch of probes, and now the natural as well. We're going into a full-on base trade, but Clem is tearing through the front lines. MaxPax has 2 bases down here, looking at none momentarily. Meanwhile, main base, it's not going to be enough. The counterattack is not nearly enough. Team Clem and Trigger go off to a 2-1 lead, and we're headed to match point. They turn it around. Clem as Terran seems to be more than enough. Despite the combined efforts, honestly, I liked it, but it feels like it truly did not pay off. Spirit hamstringing himself to send all his money to MaxPax, well, that's almost all in. Like, if you're 2 minutes behind on everything Clem can get, they didn't delay Clem enough. All right, so here we are, match point. And again, our Terran player in the red, the world champion, it's Team Liquid's Clem. Joining him is Trigger up to the north. Will he get an assimilator assist? Assist-imulator? Jimmy, edit that out. We will see. We're on Yellowjacket. Can you tell? MaxPax with quite an early scout. Team assimilator. Yeah, I do appreciate using some of those 2v2 mechanics. Both teams doing so. I don't think they've outright shared control, like had one player microing both armies. Though, if anyone could do it, Clem's right there. But the economic teamwork is very interesting. And again, I don't think it's ever really been explored to a significant extent, especially not by players of this caliber. So we will see. And if MaxPax had just won that game by running them over because he had twice the income and was able to build so many units, but he didn't. Spirit sent him pretty much everything he could. He had like 1 siege tank and 6 marines for the first 7 minutes of the game. But it wasn't enough. I would be a bit concerned that strategies like that are actually too powerful. Obviously, the game is designed around 1 player with 1 income, and 2v2 is just 2 players playing like 1 player. There's no special mechanics besides the ability to transfer resources. And, of course, the maps being different, because you need to have 2 players on them, but there's no special rules about 2v2 compared to 1v1. Much to the dismay, especially of Zerg and their teammates with Creep. But don't worry, we got rid of them. And that's honestly part of the reason here. In my opinion. It's just very hard for Zerg to feel or be useful in team games. Their strategies are very predictable. Either early rush, of course, or some sort of like Nidus, Swarm Host, or Muta. But the most important part, especially as we've seen of these games, which is that kind of early mid-game, it's very hard to be effective as a Zerg without going super all-in. Whereas Terran and Protoss both have a lot of options. Especially when you can count on a teammate to cover certain weaknesses. Adapts, sliding all around. Trigger gets away for now. MaxPax has an Oracle in production. Gonna go back to the Stargate. Only one for now. Clem has Cyclone building out of the factory. A third command center. He has yet to build a gas gasser. He has his assimilator from Trigger. MaxPax already adding on a Twilight before the Oracle's even done, so telling you how interested he is in going Max Stargate. aka not at all. First to Deb Shady and MaxPax gonna duel with the Marines while Spirit runs by. Tries to take advantage of the distraction, but the wall is up and the Adepts are zoning out as well. Oracle heading across. I don't know if it was spotted. The Cyclone is heading out. Did Clem see it? The Oracle? He could just go for a stasis. Slaps a Revelation. And Clem looking to get a lock on the clone. Will do so. Is there going to be vision? The Cyclone gets an extra hit with those Stalkers, but not enough to do critical damage. Reaper in the main. Gonna get a pretty full scout. Adept cleaned up. Both Protoss headed towards Blink. Trigger's gonna have a slight advantage, obviously, as he did not go Stargate. But he's getting a third Nexus as well. Meanwhile, Spirit, is he building for himself? I think he's transferring. There's no way MaxPax has 400 gas while going Blink and Oracle on. Yeah, Spirit's sending him some stimulus packages as opposed to getting stim for himself. Again, Spirit is bankrolling MaxPax's strategy, but building up a lot quicker into his own as well. I don't think Clem and Trigger have been doing much of that. The closest we've seen is building that assimilator. But nothing, at least nothing that's super obvious. Maybe transferring mid-game in order to supplement, but not as any sort of build order. There's a stasis behind. I think he noticed. He's trying to blink. It looked like he was trying. He blinks out of one into another. Damned if you do, and damned if you do. MaxPax blinking back while the Stalkers look on helplessly. Clem putting a siege tank right next to the Nexus, making sure. He caught every... He blinked. He must have blinked right on top of the stasis. This could be a disaster. Clem needs to come down here and save him. But a siege tank gets taken out. The stasis in the way knocks out the Oracle. But MaxPax is on the high ground. He blinks away. Who's flanking who is the question. Trigger has less Stalkers, so if he actually just blinks forward, he could lose a bunch of them. And now using... Clem scans forward. The Stalkers will close in. There's a supply depot, spotter depot up here. Spirit now has 3 bases. MaxPax has 3 as well. 62 workers apiece. 62 workers across the board. That's the number. They're building up a few more, but that's about 3 base saturation and then everything into units. Siege tank on the high ground. For Spirit. Clem at 122 supply. His economy is rolling now. Spirit has a forward bunker. Looking to backstop, but the tank! He doesn't have a counter scan and the tank will get taken down. Just a little bit too late. The sensor tower taken down as well. Meanwhile though, a Dark Templar. MaxPax again, using the DTs, buying some space. In fact, Trigger comes back to defend. I think he recalled. No, he just sent him back home. Still has recall ready. At least for now. DT Blink is on the way, but MaxPax's Dark Templar are making all the difference right now. Man, the positioning is real awkward here, but the siege tank will eventually be taken out. Spirit's Marines with a beautiful concave. What are the upgrades? Spirit has 1-1. Meanwhile, everyone else has +1 weapons, and that's it. Clem moving around. 137 supply, 124 for trigger, but 130 for MaxPax and Spirit. And charge lots in the main. Oh, it's just like 1v1. Clem getting heavily undercut by MaxPax's Prism. Trigger, a bunch of his zealots. A bit of a misfire there. He sent out the run-by a while ago, and it comes up against the entire army. Clem has to retreat almost all the way back to his main base. He could get caught in the center of the map, too. This is an incredibly awkward angle. Clem does not have enough units here. He's going to have to retreat at an odd angle, and he can't support this army quite as well. Siege tank in the corner. But the bio ball with Stalkers in tow. Spirit stimming forward, gonna go straight for the tank, takes it out. Stalkers blink to the side, Clem closing in. Siege tank from Spirit, big hit on the Marines. And continuing to shell. Clem tries to retreat back, the Immortal hung out to dry. Zealots warped in, Trigger trying to flank. Medivacs still have energy, but the Marines won't stop going forward. That siege tank doing terrible, terrible damage. 15, 20 kills. The field runs red with mostly Terran blood. And Clem and Trigger are forced to tap out as we head to game number 5. Uthermal's 2v2 circuit tournament finals. I believe Uthermal made it to the semifinals, but not all the way. But here we are. Team MaxPax versus Team Clem. The most common, yet most high-level finals we ever could have expected. And here we go. Crimson Research Lab will be our final match. Clem is Terran, alongside Trigger is Protoss. On the opposite side, MaxPax and Spirit. And I want to thank Uthermal, 1, for sending the games, 2, most importantly, for having the initiative. I know he's been doing a lot of 2v2 content, and like I mentioned, it's such an unexplored part of the game. I don't think it's perfectly balanced, but there's nothing stopping you from using those strategies or against your opponent. I think there's a lot of opportunity to actually have some strategic variety. I say that as we have effectively a mirror matchup here, but still. I think, and he does plan on doing more, from my understanding. Clem, out of reflex, started a refinery and then realized what they were doing and canceled it. He's so used, and that's another part. As players of this caliber play more and more, they're going to figure out more. Like, Clem is going to come up with something. And MaxPax and Spirit appear to already have done so. But I wouldn't be surprised if, for some of these players, they've played less than a couple hundred team games. I was going to say a couple, but there's no way it's a... So, I'm very excited to see what they come up with as time goes on. Even if it is the most intense 5-minute cheeses. No spoilers. So. We've never really had... Wardy does some regular team game tournaments. We've seen the World Team League, which is mostly 1v1, but they do occasional 2v2 events. There has not been the incentive. But I think at this stage of StarCraft 2, very simply, we need to expand our horizons. Okay. Watching the same 8 players battle it out on 2 maps reskinned 4 times over with the same build orders, or switching their race to Protoss and playing the same build order as the opponent who beats them, Clem, is all well and good. But there's room for more opportunities. So, again, thank you to Uthermal, the players, the fans, for liking and subscribing. And now Game 5. MaxPax and Trigger both going Stargate. MaxPax will have it significantly quicker. Clem going for the 3cc yet again. It seems he's using that quick refinery or quick assimilator in order to get the minerals for the third CC. And that's how he kind of exponentially scaled his production in most of these games. Last game, it didn't pay off fast enough. As MaxPax again with the Dark Templar. He's so good with them. It's not about the real micro, it's about timing and understanding when they're going to be most effective. And MaxPax just seems to have a better game sense than anyone else out there. Even in 2v2. Reaper's up to the hot. Oh no. Oh, it's bad. There's nothing here to defend. There's no wall. The Adepts are going to get in as well. 2 Reapers. An order of magnitude more difficult to deal with than one. He's going to lose several probes. For comparison, MaxPax up 4 workers behind. 2 Adepts get in as well. Going to kill a couple more probes. And it's a full scout on the Stargate. MaxPax is getting a Phoenix back at home to block out. Oh, here we go. 4 Stargates. Madness. Phoenix chases down the Oracle. Wait, that's MaxPax's Oracle. All Protoss look alike to me. Some of my best friends are Protoss, alright? Double Stargate. Well, I keep getting confused because of how many Stargates are in production. It just does not compute. You're not supposed to have 4 Star... We got Stargate Command over here. And the difference between this game and Undercurrent is they did the damage. On the Undercurrent game that eventually Clem and Trigger came across the map, there was really not that much damage done early. It was just MaxPax getting all the resources, building all the Phoenixes, and then Clem and Trigger putting together a combined timing attack. But the damage was done so early here. Now the Phoenixes might be able to scale it. And the Oracle as well, with the Cyclone in the air, the Oracle is free to deal with the rest. Trying to build Phoenixes, Trigger in a very awkward spot. 4 Phoenixes at a time. This is madness. Just lifting up a chunk of SCVs. Almost every Phoenix is out of energy. Will there be an opportunity to come across the map for a counterattack timing? MaxPax is at 82 supply, Clem at 76, Trigger's at 47. At this point, you might as well just feed Clem money and see what he can do with it. He's got Blink on the way. They can't really afford to keep chasing this amount of Phoenixes across the... He's got 13 Phoenixes. Pretty soon he could just start lifting Marines. So that is a bit of a risky business. Yeah, why are there SCVs here? Oh, it's a disaster. So, Spirit and MaxPax know exactly what they need. They need to survive the counter-strike. If they can do that... I mean, the Phoenixes are already doing the damage. This is so much damage. There's a missile turret. That's not enough. Trigger's down to 37 probes. He's lost 30. Oh, it's a disaster. And there's a fleet beacon on the way. A mothership might be the choice. A mothership, and you can repair the mothership with Terran. He's actually fighting Marines now. But here comes Team Clem. And it's mostly Clem, unfortunately, this time. +1. There's not that much energy on the Phoenixes, so if they go now, there might be an opportunity. But multiple siege tanks, they can retreat to the high ground if needed. Clem is pulling back. A big call there. Both Spirit and MaxPax have 60 workers apiece. There are 3 carriers. Can he not afford to... Oh, he's supply block. You're not used to building 4 carriers at a time. It's 7 minutes. Trigger's still struggling. Gonna get delayed on an attempted 4th base. The Marines looking to intercept. think MaxPax debated just lifting the Marines, but it's risky. There's no reason to risk a critical mass of Phoenixes when you're already building carriers. A mothership... Wait, did he recall? Does that work? Apparently, yes. He lifted them up and recalled mid-lift. Well, tries to come in again, but the Stalker count has grown high enough that MaxPax finally is driven away. The mothership is a quarter of the way done. Clem heading to the north. Triple drop. Somehow Clem at the highest supply in the game, as is customary. Trigger has been really struggling on this one. He took a lot of damage to the Reapers, the Adepts, and then the Phoenixes. He's borne the brunt of all this. Now Clem has to hopefully drag him across the finish line. That siege tank Phoenix is gliding around. There's a stasis. He can cover it physically. So that way it's not obvious to Clem. The stasis catches some Marines. Spirit. He does have 1-1 in combat shield. He's got 140 supply. Oh, and the Marines with combat shield far superior to the ones without. Let alone the numbers here. But 4 carriers have arrived. The Phoenix count is still very high. Sensor tower and forward missile turret. A standoff. The Phoenix is overhead. And here's the stim. They're gonna go for it. Blake's on top of the tanks, takes out 2. But wait, there's more. There's a stasis in there as well. 1 carrier taken down immediately. But the Marines are stimming on both sides. Interceptors getting taken out of the sky with ease. The stim Marines doing a great job of it, but the mothership is on the field. Tanks. Shelling up to the high ground. There's still so many tanks for Spirit behind this. 4 carriers. And he's building 5 carriers at a time. This is madness. Stasis is triggered. Clem is knocking on the door. Trigger only has 100 supply. What are the upgrades? 1-1 for the Terrans, +1 in the air for MaxPax. That's the only thing that's really relevant. The super drop. 1 medevac gets knocked out of the sky. The Phoenix is still camping the base. And Clem has been stalled out. MaxPax is expending a lot. But he has 4 bases, going on 5 bases to work with. Clem now has a gold base. He's trying to finally intercept the Phoenixes. Trigger is finally, he's gotten some economy. 69 probes, which is at least a decently nice 3-4 base, but there's still some SCVs long distance mounting from over here. Have been for a while. Clem pulls back. I think Phoenix range completed for MaxPax. Indeed. A recall. Does he have Storm? Yes. Oh, but he lost the Templar before it trigger. He jumped the gun on the recall. The Templar get taken out, and again, Trigger is beaten back down towards 100 supply. The tanks will siege up first for Clem. He needs a scan. He has it right now. The Clems are shelling. The tanks are all lifted. He picks them all up, and the Marines help to knock them down. Clem to 170 supply. MaxPax still maxed out, and he's paxed his army up and is heading across the map. Spirit can support. Clem fighting Marines on the other side. Trigger comes in to try to tilt the scales. A few charge lots at the front. He's fighting the Interceptors. Heads up. Now fighting the mothership, but the Interceptor count is so damn high. And Clem doesn't have the numbers. The Golden Armada overhead may very well be enough. There's nothing to stop the carriers. He's got 14 carriers, plus 2 weapons. And there's nothing to challenge him. In game number 5, Spirit managed both their economies well. MaxPax skyrockets to a mass Skytog composition. And Clem, he's trying. The mothership may go down, but MaxPax and Spirit may go down as victors in this first 2v2 championship. GG across the board. MaxPax and Spirit claim 3 to Clem and Trigger with only 2. Your first champions of the Uthermal 2v2 circuit. What a game. Demonstrating some of the strengths and weaknesses of certain strategies in 2v2. I think Team Spirit adapted better, but obviously Clem and Trigger had their own ideas as well. I look forward to the developing strategies and more tournaments in the future. And thank you to Uthermal for putting it on and sending out the games. Go check out the channel in the description, though honestly it's probably somewhere on the screen on recommended right now. I mean, come on. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I made your day a little bit better. If you got the means of motivation, be awesome. Check out Patreon. Thank you to our mules for bringing in the most minerals. Big Jiggy, Dork, Mario, and all the super pylons. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.